What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is Carter Scotland Allen here, and today we are taking a look at the 2022 Hulu original film titled Deep Water. This was written by Sam Levinson of Euphoria, directed by Adrian Lin of Fatal Attraction, and starring Ben Affleck and Ana de Armas. Let's not waste any more time and get right into this movie review. A well-to-do husband who allows his wife to have affairs in order to avoid divorce becomes a prime suspect in the disappearance of her lovers. Okay, so I will be getting into the slightest of spoilers, but don't be too worried if you do want to watch this film and you also want to watch this review. I won't be spoiling too much, so don't be too worried. Okay, so let's start off with the directing of this film. This film is so close, yet so far away from being what it actually wants to be, or from knowing what it wants to be. The first half is pure drama thriller with pretty good tension building overall and fine acting, and then the second half just goes completely off the rails, insane, stupid. I know that's very, very a simple way at saying it, but this movie it goes from being something so serious and so grounded and real that could have very well been super good and super realistic, to being something that you would see straight out of the 80s that just is just dumb, and we'll get into that later. At the end of this film, I found myself feeling like it was just a high-budget soap opera, and that really is all this film ended up being. I have not seen Fatal Attraction or Indecent Exposure. I'm not a fan of Euphoria, so it's not a surprise that I wasn't a fan of Sam Levinson's writing, but then again, I think the director of Fatal Attraction, even then those are films, this is a film that feels like it's out of the 80s or 90s, and it honestly just probably should have never been made, because there's really nothing redeeming about this film other than small bits of certain performances. So with that, we will now get into the cast and the characters. Overall, everyone does a fine job with their character. Ana de Armas and Ben Affleck do a fantastic job at portraying a couple that shouldn't be together. They portray the definition of a toxic couple, a toxic relationship, and they do that very well. It's just that the story does not support these character actions enough for anything to have payoff. And now on to the story. So this film had me interested for the first 40 minutes to the first hour. Honestly, maybe even the first hour and a half. But that being said, this movie is 2 hours and 30 minutes long. This is something that should have been an hour and 20 to an hour and 40. And maybe it would have been a great fun watch. And I will have to say just now, this film was originally planned to be released in theaters. And I am so glad that that wasn't the case, because it's just not a film that people really should be paying money to see, as bad as and crude as that sounds. But, I don't even... I wish I could take back my time watching this film, and I saw it on Hulu. So that says something. The bike sequence should never have been in the film. It should have never made it past the writing stages. The fact that that whole almost, 2 to 5 minute sequence happened in general, that sequence alone kind of ruined the film for me. Also, characters did things that humans just wouldn't do. Characters were in certain locations that they had no reason being there. They were saying certain things that they had no reason saying, or they were interested in topics that they would have no reason being interested in. The ending wasn't surprising at all, but it also could have paid off had it been an hour and a half shorter and not had these dumb fucking character decisions and overall story decisions. And now on to the cinematography. So this film looks great. It doesn't have anything that, blows my mind. It's not technically revolutionary. It's just doing things very, very well. Everything about this film is done very well. The acting is fine. The cinematography is fine. There's nothing that's really bad about this film except the story, and that is a big fucking part, because how do you go to like a movie when it doesn't have a story that's engaging? Or it's the whole reason this film is bad is because of the script. That is it. The directing wasn't necessarily bad. I think had the script been cut down an hour, had the film been cut down an hour, we could have had something, but this film just isn't it. They had different hues of blues scattered throughout the film, which worked because the title of the film is titled Deep Water, so you have, references to water, I guess, around the entirety of the film, which is fine. It didn't feel too artsy-fartsy, but also didn't feel too bland, like most recently that we just watched was House of Gucci. That movie felt super bland and boring to visually, to watch, whereas this film was just riding that line of it had its own style, but it's also very simplistic. But once again, it's the story that didn't hold up, and so therefore the visuals and the cinematography, there wasn't much to appreciate out of it because the story was so shitty. And now on to the score. Honestly, I can't remember it, and that means either it was just boring, or it didn't do much. I do remember feeling tension, and I remember the tension building feeling pretty good, but I can't remember those sounds. I don't remember, any of these songs. I think the only slight memory of sound that I have in this film is either the diegetic sound that... Actually, yeah, all the sound that I remember in this film is all diegetic. The music at the pool party scene, just them driving, walking, talking, whatever it may be. That's what I remember. I don't remember any added non-diegetic audio. Okay, so let's get into the final thoughts. Obviously, you can tell I'm not a fan of this movie. If you have seen some of my other reviews, let's say for The Batman or X, those reviews are 15-20 minutes long, and that's because I loved both of those films. This review is 9 minutes long. It's going to be cut down even shorter than that. And that's because I don't have much to say about this film because this film wasn't good. The visuals were fine, but nothing to help the story. The story was so lacking that everything else hindered off of it. The score I couldn't remember. The cast and characters didn't have much of an impact because the story didn't have much of an impact. Yeah, this movie sucks, and that's unfortunate to say, and also it has no reason sucking as much as it does, because you have two big leading actors, you have a writer from one of the biggest TV shows airing, and then you have a director of some, classic romance dramas, I guess, or romance thrillers. This should have been, maybe not a perfect movie, but this should have been a movie that you could have fun with. And it was not that. There was really no enjoyment coming from this film. The characters are evil, mean, and bad, and that you don't want to like them. So, with the way that the rest of the story pans out, all of that is doubled. All of that hatred or dislike is just doubled for me personally. I can watch stories with characters who you aren't supposed to like. For instance, Breaking Bad. Walter White is a piece of shit human. I don't like him, but I like his story. This, I don't like the characters, and I don't like their story. It's just not well done. So, that is my review for Deep Water. This is a very forgettable film. I will not buy this film. I will not watch it again. It is on Hulu, and I won't recommend it to people who have Hulu. If you have Hulu and you are dying for a movie, I guess put it on. I really the only reason I see people watching this film or should watch this film is if they are watching all of Adrian Lynn's films or if they are watching all of Sam Levinson's work. Other than that, there is zero reason to watch this film. So that is my review for Deep Water. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys in the next movie review. Hopefully I like that film more than this, whatever that film ends up being. So, peace. I'm Carter Scott Allen. See you guys in the next video.